Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis Giannoutzis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutzis.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey, listeners, now it's time to adapt in our fast-moving world, and I want to welcome you to the Ask Denis episode, which is a freestyle episode that happens once a week. Of course, I interview two guests during the week, and then I do the freestyle Ask Denis episode. This episode is about questions that our listeners are asking me in relation to leadership, or it could be an episode where I share thoughts, insights, and experiences from working with many leaders across and around the globe. Hey, listeners, I just want to remind you to check out our Facebook group, Leadership is Changing. If you haven't joined that community, that Facebook group, feel free to go ahead and do that. And that is launched, but it's something that's really great to be there as part of that community. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 keys to leaders' success. That's right, 5 keys. And I'm going to step you through them today as we talk about it. But when we think about the 5 different attributes to a successful leader or a leader successfully succeeding, it's really interesting to think about it. And as I step through it, what I'd like you to do is think about yourself. Think about what you as a leader and how you measure up against these 5 different attributes as I take you through them. Now, these are the things that I keep seeing with the leaders that I work with around the globe. And that they all tend to sort of have these 5 things. They have many, but these are the 5 that keep coming up over and over again. And you know what? When I look at this and I watch these leaders with these 5 different attributes, this is the difference from those who are world-class from those who are trying to be world-class. This is the difference where I see a leader who walks into a room or on stage or somewhere where they've got executive presence. This is the leader that has leadership presence, executive presence, that has confidence. And when they have confidence, that's when their team, their organization, their customers, and their stakeholders have confidence in them as the leader. And if you've got confidence, then you can steer that ship. Then it's really awesome to be around that organization and that leader. And I'm going to take you through the 5 different sort of attributes, and I'm going to sort of quickly tell you what they are, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive in each one of them. The first one is around being optimistic or a growth mindset, as I put it. The second one is somebody who has got courage, being bold. Number 3 is they are a great communicator / connector. Number 4, they've got a very strong work ethic. And number 5, they have drive and passion. And so I'm going to take you through those 5 different areas now, team, as we step through it. But once again, how does this relate to you? What does it mean for you as a leader today to be able to lead and lead change and navigate through disruption in what we're facing today? So what can you do as you think through this? Number 1 is being optimistic and having a growth mindset. See, this is somebody who looks for positives in all situations. Some situations are quite dire, some situations are not easy, but do they look for the positives? The second part of that is they're an enabler. That means they they remove roadblocks to allow you to do what you need to do and to allow you to be the best that you can be. So they're enabling you to fly and allow you to stretch your wings. Why? Because it's the third part of this, which is they're a multiplier. They're not a diminisher. They don't hold you back. They allow you to fly, so they help you multiply. So there's three things within their optimistic growth mindset. They look for positives. They're an enabler, removing roadblocks. And number three, they're a multiplier, not a diminisher. Number two is where I talk about they have courage. They're bold. That's right. 3 areas in this as well. They step up. They step up to the plate and they do what they need to do. They do, in the second part, have difficult discussions. They're not afraid to have those difficult discussions. And the third part of the courage and being bold is that they make deliberate decisions and they get on with it. They make those decisions. So many leaders today waffle. They sort of dither, if I can put it that way. In other words, they don't make decisions, full stop. And if they do make decisions, some of them dither so much, they take so much time that it really, really is painful for some organizations and some teams. So it is to make decisions or make deliberate decisions and get on with it. So the three things under Courage Bold is step up, having those difficult discussions, and number three is making decisions, making deliberate decisions and getting on with it. The third area is around being a great communicator, what I call /connector. Somebody who can connect with the audience. And you'll know who I mean or what that kind of person is. Because you see, they're taking people on the journey. They are somebody who everyone can connect with and can relate to. And that's the second part of that area, is that as a connector, as a communicator, you need to show people that you care before they care about what you have got to say. And if you can show that care towards them, you'll have them and they'll be there with you and you'll connect well. But a way to do that is the third part of this area, which is to be a great storyteller. And when you and I grew up as kids, the one thing that we love to do at night time as we're being put to bed is for our parents or somebody to share a story with us. And so we love storytelling. And when we go to a movie or we watch something on TV, what we find is that we love a story. And a story has a beginning and an end and the middle and so forth, but it takes you on a journey. And so for somebody to be a great communicator, connector, they need to connect with the audience. They need to show that they care before others will care in what they've got to say. And number three, they need to be a great storyteller. All right, team, number four is that they've got a strong work ethic. They're a diligent worker. They're always at it. They're hustling is another word that they use today, but they're always at it. Doesn't mean they're a workaholic, but they're always at it. They are working. And when they're in there, they're in there. They're present. Number two of this area is they are disciplined. They are disciplined. In other words, they will do what they need to do. In fact, so much they might be up at 5 a.m. in the morning. They've got a routine that they go and they follow because they are disciplined and they have routines in their lives. And you'll notice that there's high-performing people and great leaders whereby they've got that discipline, they've got the routines in their lives, they've got things that they need to do, and they've got rituals that they do on a regular basis. The third part is they go the extra mile. They will go the extra mile. They will go and do extra stuff, extra things to be where they need to be. Others will probably not be doing that kind of thing. But for them, because they are a successful leader, or for them to succeed as a leader, they will go and do the extra things that others won't do. And so 3 things around the strong work ethic: they're a diligent worker, they have discipline, they have rituals, and they go the extra mile. They will go and do things that others won't do. Number 5 is they've got drive and passion. For me, I think there's some areas here whereby it's a purpose. For a lot of people today, and you'll ask them, say, oh, what do you do? And, or, tell me a little bit more about you. And they'll tell you what they do for a living, but that's not them. What you'll find is that a lot of people's identity is associated with a title, an organization, or a job that they do, or a business that they do. But that may not be their purpose. That might be the vehicle that they use to help them with their purpose. But what is their purpose? So somebody who's got a leader who's successful, drive, and passion has a strong purpose. They know what they want. They definitely know what they want in life, in business, and whatever they're doing. They're a high performer. But they also had this other thing too, when I say high performance or a high performer. They have high expectations, this executive excellence, this world-class mentality. And so for someone to drive and have passion, they've got to have that purpose. Number two, they know what they want. And number three is being a high performer because they have that executive excellence expectations of what they want to be world-class. You see, team, 5 areas that are really quite important. They are, again, number one, optimistic and having a growth mindset. Number two, courage, being bold. Number three, to be a great communicator/connector. Number four is to have a strong work ethic. And number five, they've got drive and passion. See, the thing here I like you to do now is, based on what I've just shared you, those 5 attributes to be in leaders' success, or leaders going towards their success, is I want you to do some things for yourself now. I'd like you to sit back now or step back, and I'd like you to think and review, what do you do well in these 5 attributes? In fact, do you do these 5 attributes, or how are you scoring in these 5 attributes? Now, if we use a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, 1 where it shows that you suck at it, number 10 is you're stellar, you're just amazing. Where do you sit? Now, team, I'm going to challenge you. Please do not choose 5 because that's sitting on the fence. What I'm going to ask you to do is to choose a number, scale, rank yourself on where you think you sit around those 5 attributes. Those 5 attributes which are key to leader success today. Where do you sit? Now, let's take an example. Let's say around the growth mindset, the optimistic side of things, you're scoring a 7 out of 10, right? 7 out of 10. Now, first thing is, hey, acknowledge where you're at. And that's all cool. That's all good. But the thing I'd like you to do is, what will you need to do to improve that score, right? To move the needle. Now, I'm not talking about going from a 7 to a 10 straight away. I'm talking about, how do you take it from a 7 to an 8? What can you do to move the needle up 1 notch? Because you see, going from a 7 to an 8, it could be quite a bit of work. Going from a 7, 8, 9, 10, it could be a lot of work, right? But then it's all good. How can you go from a 7 to an 8, as in the example I've just shared, right? For you, you might be an 8, you might be a 4. What can you do to go from a 4 to a 6? How can you move the needle? And the thing I would ask you is this. Of those 5 different attributes, the 5 areas, which is your strength and which is your weakest one? Okay? And then what can you do around that space? So here are some things for you to think about. So number 1 was what I said before, what was to actually step back and think about them and review them. Of the 5, are you doing them? And the next thing would be then to actually score yourself or rank yourself 1 through 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. The next thing I want you to do is, what are 1, 2, or 3 things around those 5 different attributes that you want to do today to help strengthen all of them? Even if one of them is a strength for you right now, right? So let's say the connector is a real strength for you, but you're scoring at a 7. What do you need to do to take it to an 8? All right? But the question I've got for you here right now is, what is it that you'll do today to take it forward? I want you to think about those things. So if you want to go from a 7 to an 8 and the different attributes that you've got, what are 3 things that you'll do in each attribute to move it forward? Okay, 3 things in each one. Then what is the one thing you want to do today in helping those 5 areas move forward? Because you see, what happens here is this. A lot of people will tend to go and decide that they want to go and improve something, do something. But what happens is that they get distracted. Things happen in their lives. And so then they will leave it. And then one day goes by, another day, then another week, and then another month. And then, 12 months down the track, they're probably going to start thinking about it and do another review. And then they still haven't moved the needle, or the needle's gone backwards. So what I'm going to encourage you, team, to do is this. Once you've done the scoring again, think about what are the 3 things in each of the different 5 attributes that you want to do to help them move the needle forward. And then what is the one thing you want to do today in those 5 attributes that will start helping you do things. Because the thing that will help you do a lot around the space to help you as the leader succeed is action. So many people talk about things. So many people want things. So many people say, I could have, I should have, I would have. But they don't take action. Or you've got the other extreme. Somebody who does take action, but they don't get results straight away. They get the results, or they don't see results. So what do? They quit. And I'm going to say to your team, it may not happen overnight. It is going to take some time, but it is going to take you to work on those 5 attributes, because it is going to take the work ethic. It is going to take the discipline. It will take the drive and the passion for you to do that. Because you see, for you to be a great communicator and connector, you're going to have courage. You're going to have to be bold, but you're going to have that growth mindset to enable you to move that whole thing forward. And you can see how it's all connected, right? It's all related. So the 5 keys to leaders' success are those 5 things I've just shared with you. Now, team, just to remind you, the Facebook group community, the insights, the experiences in that community are huge. Go ahead. I encourage you to go and check it out. Join the community. The Leadership is Changing Facebook group. Now, the other thing here is this. My offer to you is, as an executive coach that works with people all around the world, that if you want to spend some time with me to have a chat about those 5 attributes and how it relates to you, but how we can put a plan together to help you move forward, to move the needle forward, then I'm going to encourage you to reach out to me, and you'll see in the show notes my email, or send me a private message on social media, because I'm willing to help. Let's have a chat about what I can do to help you, what I can do to help you move the needle forward, right? Because you see, leaders' success is really important. And your team, your customers, your stakeholders, your organization deserves world-class leaders. And you can be that. Is it easy? No, it's not, team. But with the right people around you, you can do it. And so just go ahead and think about that now and put that thinking in place, that work in place, as I've said before. And it's really important what you can do. Hey, listeners, thanks for joining me on the session today, Ask Denis. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially the unknown and the unfamiliar territory. It is time to adapt in a fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review, put a rating. Share them with your network, with your friends, with your colleagues. Just let them know about the Leadership is Changing podcast. Hey, you've got to check it out. If there's any feedback you'd like to give me on the show, or any questions you'd like me to ask my guests, or if you have a question for the Ask Denis episode, feel free to send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, it's always great to have you with me on the show. Thanks for joining, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.